Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Hobby Hour, live again and by Dan's request this time. And while we do this a little sort of initial chatter part, we will just hold fire and hopefully someone's in the chat and they can let us know that they can hear us both. So Dan, over to testing your mic. How are you, mate? How's things?
I'm really good, thank you. Really good. Also checking my iPad so people see me flying down here. They'll see that's why. 'Cause it's the only way I'm going to be able to facilitate certain bits and pieces that the stream necessitates pictures and stuff, because it's just me and Stu according to my screen.
It's
So
well,
it was
I've got my Diddy screen still since my my Mac died, and I've got my MacBook. It's much faster, but I haven't got my second monitor yet. So my
we
chat is on
have
my iPad to the side. Full
we
audio.
can hear both
You
of
can
us.
hear us both. Wow, success,
Right,
success.
right, we can go home now. Done.
Yeah, that's
We've
it.
already
That's
done
it.
better than your last
Success.
stream. That's it. Good night.
God. Right then. So, plan for tonight really is just a really big catch up. It's been a while since we've both recorded. I've had a holiday. We've both done quite a lot of stuff, which is nice. And we haven't had much, we message each other, but we haven't had time for a good catch up ourselves. So you kind of get to listen into a bit of a chat. We got some sort of topics that's based around releases that we will lean into. Dan's been running an event, so there's lots of stuff rather than just us talking about our hobby. But with that in mind, we are going to start talking about our hobby, and then we'll move on to the kind of the wider stuff. But so Dan, what have you been up to since we last put a show out?
So obviously, last time we spoke, I was most of the way through painting Thorson's Stout Mead for Mr. Entwistle.
You were,
So
yes.
he's now done, and has been done for a while. Popped up to Nottingham on my week off, which is now the beginning of May, so that's a month ago, to drop him off
God, yeah,
with Dan.
flying by.
So I'm sure he's going to appear on a screen, or he's already up
Yeah,
on a
he's
screen.
already there for everyone else. It's just the delay. So he was there as you were talking about him, Dan. So
Oh, excellent. Okay. And then obviously the event was pressing closer, and I thought, do you know what would be even better to do to make that extra brilliant? I'll speak to Martin, Seventh Son, who you had on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and say, yeah, please do send me a 54mm scale or the Roses miniature, because I'd love to paint one. So I decided to paint that, because absolutely got to send it and really really push myself on the old terrain for the event, because there wasn't much to do, of course. So I painted that. Really really enjoyed that. So for anyone who's part of this stream at the moment or watching it later who doesn't know who Martin is, he's Seventh Son. He's on YouTube and other bits and pieces. He's part of the Plastic Crap podcast, and his miniatures are part of Ragged Staff Miniatures. So Stu's interviewed him. Stu's reviewed some of the minis, and then yeah, I've done the 54mm miniature, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I've shown this off very briefly on the stream I did with Martin on the sort of the launch day or around that period for his latest couple of miniatures. So it has been on there briefly, but we haven't streamed since well before that. So, but it's stunning, a lovely job on it.
Thank you. I enjoyed that. It's I don't do much large scale, and not since Inquisitor, really. I think it's the last time, so that dates things somewhat.
Yes,
For those of you who don't know what Inquisitor is, please do Google it, because it was awesome. And with modern technology, just saying, GW, just saying.
Don't give me any ideas. I've got too many projects planned at the moment, but that might
Oh, you only need to do a couple of them, Stu. 3 or 4, they're making bigger and bigger casts. You look at the size of miniatures we've got now.
I want to do it in 28mm now if I did it.
Yeah, that's a huge community anyway. The Ink 28.
Yeah,
they do some amazing stuff
Should
as well.
be probably 32 or 35, really, I imagine. But I get what they mean.
I like 54.
But
it's a different challenge, isn't it? It's something of its own, and would certainly make a very interesting category for Golden Demon.
Yeah, it would do. Would do. I mean, in terms of playing it as a non-supported game, I think at 28 is better, because it just makes it easier for anyone to get involved. Really, I suppose you need a PDF of the rules and access to some 40k 28mm miniatures, and you're where you go, aren't they? Whereas if you do make it 54, you need to have a 3D printer or purchase 3D printed bits from somewhere. Whereas 28 means it's open to a lot more people. But either way would work.
Lots of good fun. So obviously I did have to do some stuff for the event, which we'll cover in more detail in a second. But I had to tear a load of trees that between a couple of events had been largely destroyed. Haley and Martin managed to destroy some of them, and the attendees of the event last year managed to destroy some more. So I rebased all of my trees, took them on sort of clump basing. I haven't got any pictures of that, but basically old school 4 or 5 trees glued to a bit of a very thin MDF, textured, etc. If someone hit them, they were just backhanded the tree straight off the top of it. There wasn't much else could be done. So they're all on 40mm round MDF now. So I did 90 of those, which was fun.
Yeah.
Really boring, but necessary evil. And then I repainted one Rohan house and painted 2 more, and then did 2 lots of the Osgiliath ruins, which are wonderful kits. Rohan houses are great. I mean, we've both spoken about that in the past. That's a really solid kit. But the Osgiliath ruins, as much as they're very cool, they look amazing. They are a pig to build. They're not as bad as the Dog Order stuff, because they're not spiky, so they don't hurt your fingers. But other than that, they're not far off. Definitely one of the kits I'd recommend.
What makes them hard to put together? Because they look.
There's just so many bits.
They should be the most. Okay, yeah, they look like they should be 4 or 5. Because the old Gondor ruins were really simple. You're talking.
Yeah, you've got the panels.
Right.
And then each sort of upright is 2 pieces that go together, and then they create. It's almost like an iron girder. So it's like and the bits slot in,
right.
And then you create that floor. That's fine, and then you've got to build the floors, which are multiple parts have to go together, and you have to make sure they're perfectly lined up and they're straight.
Okay.
And that hooks into the top, and then you put the top of the pillar plinths on, and then you put the bits in, then you start building the next layer. And
I see.
If you
so
screw
this is
it
what
up,
makes
it's a
them
bit
so
difficult.
wonderfully modular. But
yeah,
if you just want to build a couple of L-shaped ruins, which is what most people do with them, then it takes an awful lot longer than the old style.
Yeah,
ruins.
it took me a day to build 2 Rohan houses, and then 2 of those, and the Rohan houses went together probably in an hour and a half. That includes stripping back the other one off its base and using a wire brush to remove any sand off the bottom, and sand it down with a big sanding block and all sorts of stuff.
And they're really modular as well. You know,
they're really clever, but they're a lot easier. A lot easier.
Right.
Not to say there's anything wrong. I mean, they're fantastic kits. They're incredibly clever, really well designed. They just take forever.
It's time consuming because of all the small parts.
Yeah, and then obviously I had to paint them all. I mean, to be fair, I airbrushed everything in a day. Got all the oils on, all that kind of stuff, no problem. It's the lattice work for the floor supports that you can't really see in the picture that you've got right now, but it is literally like a wooden lattice work underneath. And
I've seen
it just
that.
takes forever to go round and round and round and get all the bits and pieces. Got a little
you painted
system
the
going.
underside of those bits, just in case they ever explode and you need to turn them upside down,
People might look. It'd be the first thing I'd do. I'd just look and say, "How much does this TO care about me?" I did those. Admittedly, not. There wasn't the most detailed. I wouldn't individually highlight each individual bit of wood grain or anything. I cut some corners, but they look solid. I was happy with them, and people were quite happy with them on the day. And then there's all the other bits and pieces to do with the event. Voting slips and creating the spreadsheet to do the results quickly, which was a godsend, as will turn out later. Just everything, printed event packs, making sure I've got pens and all the little nitty gritty bits that you go on the day, and then it's a pain. The only thing I forgot that I meant to put in my bag was super glue. But apart from that, I managed to nail everything, which was good. I am a planner. You're probably not going to be able to see this very well. Where are we? I do have notes. There's a big old list when it loads. But
Oh, I remember you sharing this with me. Yeah, it's
yeah, big old list.
nice. It's nice
And
when
at
you
the
get them
bottom
all
of there,
ticked
there's
off, though, isn't it?
yeah, and then there was someone gave me the name to go find. There's some I borrowed some tables from Michael Haskell. If you're watching, Michael, hello, thank you for joining us, and once again, thank you for all your help. Bless him, he brought 2 terrains worth of stuff down because as much as I did, I still
Yeah,
need a little hand to get up to the requisite number of tables. And he had these really cool 3D printed Hobbit holes. He did like a
yeah.
Hobbiton
Did
board.
he have were they the ones that were
Um,
at Seven Stones? Because I saw some of
those are the yes, those
the
ones.
tables at Seven Stones are incredible, and I commented, and Damien just said, yeah, basically implied Michael. It was Michael. It doesn't surprise
Yeah,
me. He's got some cool stuff.
yeah, the Hobbiton board, and he brought his Weir board as well, which was quite interesting. It's gonna be a good change to everything else. So I've already started looking at stuff for the next event because we're planning it roughly for February. I think that's when we're going to go
Okay.
for. It'll be earlier in the year. So I want to get up to 6 boards of my own,
Mm.
fully done. 6 individual theme boards. I'll have a Westfold one,
Yeah.
an Amon Hen one because I took my Amon Hen out again, but I'm probably going to get a 3D print for that because it does make me a little
Yeah.
nervous having
Yeah.
that there. Uh, what else? Ithilien board. Then I want to do an Angmar style board, so it'll be snow with the Dogwood runes and stuff, so it keeps that sort of visual cue for evil. Um, then I wanted to do what else was the Hobbiton board, so I'm going to do a Hobbit board, and then possibly either Moria or Goblin Town style
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. Yeah. They're both
There'll be
lovely.
the sick. There'll be a nice little interesting mix of things. I know that the Westfold slash Hobbiton slash Ithilien are kind of similar, but there'll be different buildings and a few different terrain features. I want to make the old King of Gondor throne with the Eye of Sauron on top of it with the smashed his head off, that kind of thing. Just add little visual cues to stuff.
Yeah.
There's only
See,
so far you
I
can take
obviously I
it.
created all those tables for the event that didn't happen because of a certain pandemic, but I had so many that I just sold it off, tables worth at a time with Matt and stuff. Looking back on it now, that would have been really handy for you because I got rid of my Goblin Town board, which was 4 sets of Goblin Town terrain and all the stuff to go with
Yeah,
it. I got rid of so much. I'm listening to you list that stuff now, and I'd have had you covered for about 4 of them. So it
yeah.
would have been quite handy. But
Well,
it
3 of
is
the tables are done already. So I've got Westfold. I just want to add a few bits to each of them. I want to, for the Ithilien board, I want to do the King on the throne.
yeah,
So I'll make that. And then I want to get some fields for Westfold.
yeah,
And I'll replace the Amon Hen. I'm gonna add some more trees. There's a basket sitting on a website somewhere with loads more trees, including snowy trees for the Angmar board.
yeah, nice.
I've already got rocks in another um, basket somewhere else, and then I'll buy some bits from GW obviously for that. So I'll have 4 out of 5 completely done probably by the end of October, and then I'll just need to do the last 2 boards before February. That's the plan anyway.
Nice.
So I think we've waxed lyrical about that a little bit. So obviously I'm hoping you're going to be queuing up some pictures of the armies at this point. We already have done.
Well, would you like to talk about your bases before we do your last bit of personal hobby? You've sent me a picture of all of the movement trays and bases
Oh
you've made.
yeah, I've done some more. Yeah, I've spent an awful lot of time with bits of sandpaper and stuff and built that, and I literally ended up putting bruises on the tip of this finger because trying to cut through the quarter pipe at that angle. Even bought better knives and the whole. Yeah, it's still about the time I was done. The only pain in the bum has been I bought more magnetic sheet because I was just using the Hobbycraft stuff, and they've changed it.
Oh,
It's thicker now,
ah,
so the base is going to sit too high. So I'm going to have to try and find some magnetic sheet of the original depth from somewhere
oh,
else.
oh.
Can't have it all, can you? It's fine. Everything else is done on them. I've already built my first model for my uh, Warriors of Chaos, my unit filler, my
Uh-huh.
Pomeroid Gate Crusher.
Oh, cool.
This big fella. He's kind of cool. So On Saturday, I went along to help out at the event, chill, hang out, see some people I'd not seen before for a little while. The cockpit boys were there, etc. Generally help out whatever was needed. Although it was pretty well looked after, to be fair, the event kind of ran itself. Everything, the whole shebang. The greetings boys have got this.
They've been
They've
doing
got
it
it
for a
down
while
now.
now, haven't they? So
Yeah, yeah, nearly 10 years. So I took that model with me as well, just in case I had a bit of time to myself, and I assembled him while I was there on the
nice.
Saturday, which is kind of cool. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the armies. We're going to do Middle Earth first, aren't we?
Yes, so the armies for your event. So the first one is up on screen now. Not that you can see it yet, but it's
No, I can't see. So tell me which one it is.
So it's the it's hard to tell as well. It looks like a dwarven gate, and big stone in the background.
Oh, I'm guessing that's Rob Davies' Moria board.
It could be.
He's
Yeah,
got
it
his
could be more.
goblins with spiders and all sorts of stuff. It's still not appeared on my
It's quite
iPad yet.
small
So
on my screen as well because I'm viewing it on
I'll tell you what, I
OBS,
will
which is quite small.
describe the what happened and who won what, etc. So unfortunately, I did have a couple of drops. And wasn't the most afflicted of the weekend. Unfortunately, the Legions Imperialis event got absolutely hammered by dropouts on the Saturday, which was
Okay.
really rough. There seems to be a lot of that in general in events at the moment. Life's pretty rough for a lot of people at the moment. So I guess when people initially agreed to tickets, their circumstances may be different. What's a £20 ticket to go? By the time you've done the end of your day, if you pay for a hotel and stuff, that could easily be 200 quid. So I get why people drop. It's not, by no means a knock people's individual circumstances.
I wonder if the
I
Legion
lost some people.
People dropped some. Or try not to hijack your chat about your event, but it's one of those systems that has been hit hard by stock issues, isn't it? I wonder if when people signed up, they had list
Couldn't get the
ideas and
armies.
things. They haven't been able to get their armies, or especially for that the January release. People weren't able to get the books, all their armies, and I think some of that's not back in, is it? So I wonder if that some people have gone.
Let's
Well,
not
that's
descend quite down that rabbit hole yet.
Not
That's a
just
topic
yet,
for
but
later.
yeah, I just thought while I remember that, I wonder if that's got something to do with it and why LI was hit maybe more than some of the others.
Reasons are as varied as the individuals attending, I think. I had some drops, all sorts of reasons for that. No hard feelings, it happens, it's fine. So originally I had 14, was down to 12 the night before, and then unfortunately their childminder cancelled at the very last minute and they couldn't get a replacement. So I had to play. Luckily I took my army. Unfortunately, the best army I could take that was easiest or plug and play and that I could not have to think too hard about, and if I needed to break away, etc., was the Bears.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the Bears are pretty brutal at 600 points. So I played 3 games. Actually, I didn't. I played 5 games because the games for rounds 1 and 2 were so quick. We re-racked, and I won 4 out of 5.
Okay. That's not what you're supposed to do as a TO. You're not supposed to go and smash everyone down.
No, I'm not. But it wasn't the intent. I had some really fun games. No, I didn't. No, because there is no winners. That is the one key point about my events.
Would you have won if there were winners?
No, because people would have brought tougher lists.
Okay.
I actively discourage people from bringing.
No, I just wondered if you totted it up as the result.
I didn't count my points, and I can't remember.
If you put them together, yeah, I like the very political answers you're giving here.
No, because to be fair, anyone who comes first is actually last in my events.
I'm winding you up now.
I know you are. I know you are. I know. I'm just choosing to patently ignore you. It's for the best. It's if it works in politics, it'll work here. Anywho, there's 4 awards at the event there. So there is Sportsman, which was run by Rob Davies, really lovely chap. He had the Moria. We had peer voted best army, which was won by James Barrett, who actually I think took judge's choice last year with his necromancers. James took his Breaking the Fellowship.
Yep.
We had judge's choice, which I got Andy from Greetings for the Warp, as well as the chaps running the Old World and Blood Bowl to help me collectively judge. That was won by Sean Clark with his Bjornings, really pretty army. And then Thomas Heim, it was his first time, and he came and got Wooden Spoon, really nice guy. And
Oh,
actually, he was a
nice.
replacement for Boris, who dropped. So his first event was really, really nice for him to come along. I mean, yeah, he did get a bit of a hammering, bless him, but he evidently displayed all the best of character. That the entire sort of player, the field, so to speak, they all behaved impeccably. The standard of hobby was amazing. Pretty much everyone got voted at some points for sportsmanship across the
Right.
entire thing. Um, I think most armies at least got some points for peer voted best army as well.
Yeah.
I think pretty much everyone did, which was really cool. But it was hotly contested, and I felt so bad for Rob Davies because he made that beautiful Moria thing, and he was literally just pipped on both occasions for peer and judge. It's just the way it works out sometimes. You could take that to another event and absolutely smash the field and take the
Yeah.
gold, but
Yeah.
it's just how
They
it
all look
works out.
great. I've been cycling through them slowly as you've been chatting away, and there's some lovely looking armies. Um, some of the display boards are very cool as well, which is something you see a lot
Yeah, yeah.
in Middle Earth, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. They that attracted a lot of attention on the Sunday from the Old World and the Blood Bowl players. They were like, the armies are really nice, and I think something that, yeah, as you say, Middle Earth does really well is display boards. It's really something
Definitely.
that's sort of lives and breathes within the community, especially compared to a lot of other game systems. It probably helps the armies are smaller,
Yeah,
let's
I
be
was just going to
honest, but
say, there's something about the size of them that really lends to it. I've been
but
toying with building one for
mm,
my fantasy dwarf army, and whether I can make it small enough that it's not a pain to carry and annoy everyone else as you're elbowing them around an event table. But yeah, there's some lovely small display boards here, really fantastic.
yeah, it was cracking though, and obviously congrats to the four winners of their respective categories. Congrats to everyone who came along and just generally got involved, had a really nice time. There was some new faces as well. There's some returning people. Chris Murphy came all the way down from Scotland, bless him. There are people coming from all sorts. I mean, Sean's just the other side of Manchester. There was people from everywhere. We even had the North Wales. You know, considering it's a small event in Northamptonshire, I
Yeah,
couldn't be more grateful, to be honest. I really am grateful to everyone who came and made it such a great event. So if you're in the chat here, and thank you so much.
it looks
So,
fantastic. I will make it along one day.
well, I will let you know as soon as we've got a date set for Feb. As soon as that chat gets created on WhatsApp, I'll let you know.
Yeah, well, the plan was I was going to be along for this one, but it just didn't work out with her. The wife went to see Take That on Sunday, of all things, which meant they killed the whole weekend. Otherwise, I just would have been down for the weekend. And to be fair, I would have probably ended up playing Old World. But I was supposed to. The plan was to still come along on the Saturday. I even wanted to do some filming, but it just didn't work with all the other things going on. Hey
No,
ho.
it's one of those things. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it, but the Cotton Paint Boys were there,
Hmm.
and there was some new interesting stuff there. I don't know if I should say anything more than that. I don't know if it's supposed to be something kept secret. So,
Oh, okay.
but something I'm quite excited about off the back of that. Not
Nice.
least because they're going to do some a lot more painting courses going forwards now. They're right back on that. Obviously, Henry's models were on Warcom today, being this is obviously Tuesday the 11th for anyone watching this later on.
Hmm.
And they announced that Andy's doing some painting over in the States as well on
Yeah,
with
yeah.
them, literally as someone directly affiliated with Warhammer, not just as Cotton Paint. I think that's really cool.
It's good. It's nice to see them doing that. They did something else with recently with that, nice sort of partnerships with people from the community, and
Mm.
you're starting to see that. Like you said before we started recording, you're starting to see that more and more, which is good. It's a
Well, it's
good
nice that they're
sign.
actually getting people who are passionate about the various bits and pieces. Obviously, Andy's a phenomenal painter, so getting him to teach painting, no
Yeah.
brainer. Hopefully maybe in the future we'll see other great painters, like Rich Bray
Mm.
and other people like that who might be involved. And then you've got Henry, who's clearly madly passionate about heresy, and the SM boys as well.
Yeah.
So it's good seeing actual people who are affiliated with the area. So hopefully maybe we might get someone from Middle Earth doing something Middle Earthy.
Yeah.
Not just, it's not to denigrate anyone who may be watching this who is a content creator or an influencer that generally, deals in 40K, for instance, and they obviously they send those individuals a lot of the specialist game stuff, because you could want to reach a want to reach a broader audience. Absolutely makes total sense, but it is really nice to see them sending to people who are established within their communities now as well, not just the people who have got the biggest followings or may capture new people. It's also good to cater for the existing people. I think perhaps that was the biggest call
there's
out
a
from the Age of
huge,
Darkness release, and
yeah,
it's nice they've done something with that off the back of it.
They can send me some old world stuff one day, maybe.
Yeah, if only
Anyway.
they would.
Yeah,
let's not. But that's another crime worthy of the Book of Grudges. Let's just say that.
But no, I agree with what you were saying. And one final point on that is that they seem to have got past that. We can't mention that other person's website, business name,
Yeah.
etc. It got to the point where they wouldn't use their Instagram handle, would just put their name. But now they will say the name and their Instagram handle, and then I'll mention their business. And I think the guy from Stephen Box from Vanguard Tactics, regardless of whether you like competitive 40k or not, he does a lot with it. His business is basically teaching people how to play it and to play it competitively. And he's writing articles in White Dwarf, and it says for Stephen Box of Vanguard Tactics, and it's all, you can check his website out here, kind of stuff, which is unheard of a couple of years ago, for them to admit that there are people making livings based on side businesses to do with their own hobby, which is really, really good. I think it's really.
It shows a bit more awareness, which is always a nice thing, especially let's say from GW, who are not always renowned for it.
They're just great adverts for their stuff, for their products, rather than pretending they don't exist or pretending they're just a person who's painted something. Get people viewing their stuff, because they're then likely to come back and buy even more of your stuff. The penny's dropped that these people should be are good partners, because they will deliver them money. But
that adds validity to it as well, because that's one of the only things, well, it's not one of the only, but it's one of the main things I really dislike about the new corporate imaging on the website. Who are these people? Those are not people you see down at the Wargaming. These people straight out of the White Company catalogue rolling dice. No.
Are they
Get people like Vanguard Tactics,
though? I don't know. It has been.
I don't know where they found that lot.
I don't know which pictures you're referring to, but most of the pictures I see, the fake pictures of them in game, do turn out to be staffers, don't they? And have done for years. So I wouldn't make the assumption that they don't work for them. So whether they play those games or not,
maybe they're hiring differently. But I remember from when I used to go to head office when I was retail staff, the people in the back offices definitely didn't look like that. Okay. No offense to any of them, but there was the usual motley collection of your proper stereotype. Basically, it was the people outside the shop with a lanyard on. It was exactly the same people.
I think there's a lot has changed though. There's a whole generation of gamers below us, me definitely, but you as well. I think there's people that have started playing Age of Sigmar and new stuff. I think 40k and Age of Sigmar are completely different things now. A completely different style of war game as well. I
would argue they're not war games anymore.
That's the point I'm getting to. Yeah, the narrative is all in the background. The themes are there, the story's there, but that's almost separate. It's much more like Warmachine. I know I talked about this in a previous thing, but it's much more like Warmachine.
I honestly think
the game mechanics and are a thing, and maybe they're more enjoyable games, but they're not a war game and stuff. There's less simulation. There's more abstract there, and I think that the people who play those games, different generation, are just generally different. So maybe they are the modern gamers, and gaming has changed down and become more of a wider societal thing. I'd argue that it has. I think gaming in general has become more acceptable. More people across a wider range of society take part in gaming. That might be reflected in the stereotypical image of a gamer not being what it was. But anyway, that's a big sort of diversion.
Potentially. Let's talk about Old World. So I didn't really, obviously there was a few people who are playing Old World who I know personally, and I'm sure you're probably cycling the armies now.
Just putting them really up now. Cool. First one's gone up,
and I have no idea what order these will be in now. I can't remember.
I'm looking again, very small.
There's like a couple
it might be the beasts. Is it purple? Is it the beast purple? Are they?
They're Mikas, I think. Tom Mikas.
They're Mikas. I'm trying to see from our. It's easier to see on my iPad where it's now come live,
Two
and you
big
can
beefy
see it now
things.
as well.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't necessarily name them all. I know that Shep took his entire trial army. That was all 3D prints. I can't remember which company they are, but they were pretty cool. Obviously, there was a Slanesh army there. Uh, Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there was some lovely armies at Old World, but unfortunately, I think if I'd have had any of those other armies and seen that turned up, I'd have known that Best Painted was gone because
Yeah.
it was a gulf of difference. And that's not to put any of the other armies down. There were some beautiful armies there, but that
Yeah.
Slanesh army was something else. It was stunning.
We'll get to it, I'm sure. I mean, in the chat, Chris has just said that was Tom Meeker's army, confirmed it. And then up on the page, up on the screen at the moment is the Tomb Kings one.
Oh, there's a couple of Tomb Kings. So I think there's about four or five, which, funnily enough, is a bit of a thing, actually. I sort of.
It's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, and which we will again come to later on when we talk about where's the rest of them. But yeah, there were a lot of Tomb Kings. Not a huge number of Bretts though. There was some Brett's armies there. I think 2, but there were far more Tomb Kings armies than Brett armies.
Harder to paint.
A few Beast armies.
I think that might come into it a bit.
Maybe. But there's not as if there wasn't as many boxes kicking about. So and to be fair, they are an opportunity to really go for it for painting if you want to do that.
I suppose it feels like it's been out forever because I've been talking about it forever, but we are still only not quite 6 months in yet, not to the 20th. So we're still 10 days off, aren't we, being 6 months in to release? We're in the 6th month. So, so we're not 6 months in yet. So for an army like Brett's, it's quite a challenging paint for a lot of people. And I know a lot of people have got that done as well, but Tomb Kings, if you want to get an army on the table quickly, it'd definitely be an easier thing to do, especially if you're planning on getting into the game and maybe having multiple, or maybe your army hasn't been released yet, and there's no dig there yet, but your army hasn't been released yet, and you think, well, but I want to play now, I'll do Tomb Kings because I can get them painted quicker, and then when my army comes out, I'll work on that then, so I've got something to go at the time. But who knows? It might just be, it's not a huge event, so it's hard to draw too many conclusions from that, I suppose. But yeah, they are.
Just having a little bit of a look at the chat. So some very kind comments. So thank you very much. Michael's in the chat. It's very nice to have seen you on Sunday, mate. So thanks you again. I'm trying to Big Woody, good lord, that is a long list. Oh, I'm guessing it was the list I showed for prep for the event.
To-do list.
Yeah, well, it's better over plan than under plan. A few people, I mean, Michael said I'm possibly the most chilled out TO he's experienced, purely because I work like hell before the event, and then that way hopefully everything's done. So it's just a case of being present when you get there. Even though I was also gaming as well as running it, it did go pretty smoothly. Part of that was the player base. They generally sorted all their own sort of problems out. If there was any rulebook stuff they need to do, they just got the book out and worked it out between themselves.
That helps.
A lot of them are slightly more tenured players, so they definitely knew what they're about. And they all came with the right attitude, so that makes life incredibly easy for me. There's no point in saying otherwise. I mean, I could plan as much as I liked, but if people didn't come with the right frame of mind, then it could have been problematic regardless of what happened. And the rest of it sort of, things went pretty well. So, it was a good day. It was a good weekend, actually. Obviously, my day was good. It looked like the Old World guys had a really, really good time. Beastman won it. I think it was the Chariot Heavy list. I think so, because I think Tom would have said, because Tom was only there on the Sunday, so I don't think his won it. As far as I can work out, it was quite magic heavy, and it caused a bit of a tactical problem for some other players playing it, so that's quite interesting. I'm looking forward to see what happens when I finally get some models on the board. And also, there was a Blood Bowl event on. So Curtis ran 2 Blood Bowl events, 2 one-dayers. He played Blood Bowl 7s on the Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I don't know Blood Bowl well enough to tell you what on earth that means. I'm guessing you use a smaller starting team lineup or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Either
yeah.
way, but
It's just 7 aside, isn't it? I assume.
yeah, two of my mates, Jay and Ben, were there, and that's the only reason when you eventually get them on the screen, I'm sure they're showing now.
We'll
There's
get
only
there in
two
a
teams to
moment. We're
show,
just on the last couple of
Old
Warhammer
World ones.
armies. Yeah, and then also we've got the two pictures of teams. It's the one with the movement tray first, which looks
Yeah,
awesome.
that'd be the Undead. They're
Mm.
Jay's. He won Best Painted, and they are very, very pretty
They
in
are cool.
person. I think he used the GDP of a small country, sort of on tufts. And that board lights up as well. It's very
Wow.
cool. Yeah, yeah, he's got LEDs mounted in the base and stuff. He really made a proper effort on that. It looked great. He's thoroughly deserving of a Best Painted for that. Um, and given what he does, he runs events at Warhammer World. I think it was quite nice of him to have a day out on the other side of the board, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then the other team was Ben's, again, a mate. The only reason I was able to get these, I didn't take any, unfortunately, any photos during, because I was trying to run my event. The tape, sort of the games didn't line up, so people were always using their models.
Yeah.
I didn't get the chance to grab them when people were looking at Best Painted, and then I didn't know anyone else who was really playing, so I just grabbed those two because one, they're my friends, so nepotism, why not? Secondly, they were both really nice, and the thing about Ben's as well is if you'd have asked me whether that was Ben's stuff 5 years ago, I'd have told you absolutely not. This being, he admits himself, a man who absolutely viewed painting as a hindrance to gaming. If he could
Right.
have, he wouldn't have. And now he's getting on board with it. He's spent all this time creating these stenciled like pitch designs on the bases, and he's really going for it. And it's wonderful to see. And the biggest change for that was doing Rohan and contrast paint. It just changed the world for him, and I think that's awesome. Really awesome. It's good to see it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Contrast has helped loads, like myself included. Just speed up my painting or change the style of it a little bit.
I
But
have
for
to
other
say, I still
people,
don't
it's
use it very often, but it's something I want to try and use a bit more of. I use it for glazing here and there,
yeah,
but in terms of
and
actually
that's
using it for its intended purpose, I've never really bothered, and I really want to try.
yeah, they're very very good, very very good. I don't use it on everything all the way through anymore. I do a lot more tutorials, but that's because I'm pitching them at a certain thing, certain level. And I like people
Sean
to
has
be able
joined
to
us.
kind of hello Sean. Thanks to everyone who has joined. We haven't got into the chat too much. It's mainly us just yabbering away tonight.
Let's do that. Just let's to quote Mr. Steve. Let's fly through the chat.
So Warmaster's Forge on this Chris. I think he was at the event. He was playing Old World, and he's confirmed that it was the
Yes.
Chariot Heavy, and he's
Good to see you, Chris.
talking about his about that magnetic sheeting. I think on that note, turns out stuff I got is the 05 thickness. If you need, Dan, mine came from Evil Amazon. I've got some spare, so hit him up.
Oh, brilliant! I'll message you at some point. Cheers, buddy. Or I can swap you if you're not bothered about thickness. If you just put it in the bottom of a case, it's just mine has to be specific for the movement trace. So I appreciate that, mate. I will be in touch. Thank you.
Looks good. Who else have we got? So as you say, Michael's popped in recently. Got a set of the new War Games Atlantic Foot Knights. The multi-part options look great. Just didn't know when I'll get a chance to put them together. So also, the stuff War Games Atlantic is doing at the moment for the size of company they are to kind of produce the standard of multi-part plastics. There's not many companies out there that I think do really good multi-part plastics. GW obviously the really obvious one, and I think the Parries do pretty good. And a lot of Warlord games are very good, especially the bolt action stuff. I think I mentioned that on my stream the other night. But then you really start thinking, well, who does really good multi-part ones? And I Victrix are quite good, but can be a little bit fiddly.
Yeah.
War Games Atlantic do a really, really nice job of it. So many companies now just say, just write it off as too expensive because of the moulding. If you see War Games Atlantic, have just teased some effectively rattlings, and they're really good, really very good.
I have to admit, I still don't. I'm still very much in the shallow end, mate. I now pay attention to what Warlord's doing and what they called Oh, I follow them. It's the guys who do Silver Bayonet, something Star Miniatures.
Yeah, North Star. Yeah.
North Star, that's
So
it.
Silver
I
Bayonet
saw
as a
it.
set of rules is from Osprey Games, but North
Yeah, that's
Star
it. But
do the miniatures
they
range
produce
for it.
miniatures for it. Yeah, that's it. So I follow them and Warlord and whoever it is that does Flames of War, the other one.
Battlefront.
That's the one.
Yeah.
This is as far as I get. I'm still got my training wheels on,
It's
and I
just
don't want to go too
basically
far
it's
because I've walked
email.
around.
It's signing up for newsletters. So
Mm.
War Games Atlantic sends something out every Friday, and
It's
latest news
actually
and things.
sort of filters into something that I put a comment for one of the, I think it was when Dom Boots on the Ground
Boots on the
did
table. Yeah.
Boots on Table. That's the one.
It should be on the
He
ground.
did.
Terrible.
He should be when he did Plastic Crack recently. There was a comment in there about we were talking about something to do with historicals. I can't remember. Basically, I was saying it's quite impenetrable, and this is kind of what I mean. It's like I think they were talking about it. How I mean from a rules perspective, it's no more or less than anything else. I mean, 40k these days is pretty rough, particularly when you start getting all the individual codexes and stuff involved. What I mean is, where do you start?
Yeah.
There's basically, especially if you do GW, you're looking for an equivalency. So that's why it's Warlord, which is why I really don't understand all the hate that a lot of historical players have for Warlord. They are going to be the biggest funnel of people coming into historical wargaming, and then they may funnel out. Much like people get into certain types of music when they're a kid. Every metal is like, oh, I quite like Slipknot if they were of a certain age, and then they go
Yeah.
off and find black metal or death metal or whatever else. They find their niche within a niche, but you always start at the vanilla.
So Warlord
Yeah,
Games is the Slipknot of historical
or the
gaming.
Metallica, or something like that. It's the vanilla flavor.
I
It's
totally
something
get
to
it.
get
And
you. Yeah,
I don't disagree either. I just think that would be that could be a T-shirt for you, Dad. Warlord Games is the Slipknot.
possibly. I don't know how that will go down. I don't know who that'll upset more, Slipknot fans or people who just really hate Warlord for some reason. People
Both,
do
probably.
absolutely just absolutely froth and throw their shoes at it's madness.
Yeah.
Like they produce some of the best models and they get more and more people interested
Because
because they
they
have a
just see them
presence.
as Games Workshop. It's run by ex Games Workshop people.
Yeah, but
I think that's what it
if you
is.
want to take a success story from any industry, Games Workshop are that. So if you can emulate that within a historical sphere and make people interested and bring them in and then get into whatever niche little game that four of you are playing in a shed in, Cumbria,
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, fantastic. Embrace it. It's great. So Martin's joined us.
Yes. Evening,
Victrix is
Martin.
still up there with the plastics. The kits
Yeah.
go from strength to strength. I do
I,
remember seeing some Victrix models. I think I've got some Victrix models when I in one of the goodie bags from
you may well have done, yeah. They've
yeah,
got some good
Plastic
ranges. I
Crack.
really like the Napoleonics. They're a bit fiddly, but they're a lot more characterful than some of the others. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Who else have we got then? So, Evening Gunter looks like Raoul Path of Giant. He's obviously commenting on one of the fantasy armies. I remember Raoul Path of miniatures. Does that ring a bell to you, Dan?
no.
Raoul Partha. So when I
It's not
first
late 70s. I wasn't here.
Oh
Come
no,
on, give me a break.
they kept going for a while after that. So when I was first gaming, there was no Games Workshop near me. So when I bought my third edition Warhammer Fantasy, I had to go to a Toy Master. It's in the UK. It was a chain, sort of is it a chain of stores? It's a licensed chain of toy stores. 3 floors, and they had a floor that was Airfix model kits, and they had model trains and Subutio. And then they also had lots and lots of Games Workshop stuff, but they had other game systems as well. So they had D&D modules, so it had been Advanced Dungeons and Dragons then, back in the era of Dragonlance and
See,
Dark
we had
Sun
BTs for that.
and stuff like that. Yeah, BTs. There was in Norwich.
All the scale extra.
If I went to the bigger place rather than just into lower staffed town centre, we had a BTs there as well. But that kind of thing. And Raoul Partha were on the same spinny rack as a lot of the Games Workshop stuff. So my early miniatures were a bit of a real mix. A company like Grenadier was a company as well that was pretty good.
They ring a bell.
Yeah, so there's a few around at that time. And Raoul
They did a
Partha,
lot of dwarf stuff, didn't they?
they did,
Grenadier.
yeah. A lot of dwarf and
Yeah.
and a lot of those sculptors ended up working for Games Workshop or vice versa. There's quite a lot of crossover. Or smaller sculptors that they were brought in by Games Workshop and their whole range was bought and then was rebranded as Citadel as well. So some interesting stuff there. But yeah, Railpatha stuff was pretty cool. Michael Haskell. The footnotes I mentioned do take their clue and sight from Paul Hicks' sculpted Baron's War, which I think helps. Yeah, but Baron's War stuff is really...
Martin's well into Baron's War. I swear I've seen him post. That is Crusade stuff? Was that Baron's War, Crusade stuff?
No. Baron's War is more of a skirmish game. So Martin's been
playing... he's in the chat. Martin, tell me where did your Crusade stuff come from?
Because
that's really nice.
Whether he's picked up Baron's War yet, I don't know. But I've it's something that's tempted me. If the Old World hadn't come out and I wasn't doing Bretonnians, I would have been very tempted with Baron's War. Because it's again a Paul Hicks sculptor, amazing. And then you've got the writers are all sort of ex-GW. It's a small company, so
Baron's War is coming,
a kind
obviously.
Of small company, but they have that modern kind of outlook for a historical game, the same as you get for Grey for Now games with the World War II skirmishy stuff. It's a lot of that ex-GW influence, modern game design in historicals, and I think that's quite an exciting time for some of those smaller small companies at the moment producing games like that. So Baron's War maybe one day. Agree with Seventh Son. Victrix are good, blah blah blah. Big Woody, I'm barely holding off the urge to splurge with new Victrix early Saxons. Yeah, they do have some lovely stuff. Sean Clark, I need to get my hands on some Victrix models. Their Vikings are really nice. I think I had some Vikings at some point. I don't know where they might even be in my loft. Michael, I still have at least one Railpatha D&D figure, which I bought back in autumn of 1979. If I recall, the base has 1977 days. So I've got some, I believe they're Railpatha, or they might have just been TSR, because I know they made some stuff licensed. I think they made some stuff licensed for TSR, but I've got some of the Dragonarts characters, which are very much 25mm miniatures rather than even 28, very small. Nice stuff. Martin, Baron's War is coming with a smiley face. So, and then most Crusade stuff is Victrix. Crusaders are Reconquer 3D prints. The Reconquer are the guys that do his sculpting for him as well.
They are, yeah, I remember that much.
Good stuff. So is that all your hobby? Have you
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of it, and as you say, it's been about a month. So there's bound to have been something else, but I run an event and painted some models to a display standard and have dabbled. I bought loads of stuff. I don't know. I bought the Dark Oath box. In fact, I think my brand's Headhunters, the £47.50 for 5 model box set, which to be honest, still I was gobsmacked. I was fully. I really wanted to buy them, and I was expecting 30 quid.
What's it gone up to now?
God knows. When it was pre-order, they probably haven't. They probably put it in at the new price.
It would have made. I was just about to say, I don't even know whether they did that, because that would have been smart to put them in at the higher price. But
yeah, I mean, I ordered that and some other bits and pieces. So as soon as I pick those up, I physically own everything I need to do more Warriors of Chaos now, and now I've got a stretch of time to do some. So that's going to be the plan for the next month or so, is to build models, sort the basing out, and then hopefully start laying paint down. That is the plan anyway.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that come together.
I'd love to have them done for September. That would be really good around that time, because then I've got some time to then kick on for the next stage, for the next Middle-earth event. And then hopefully, by the way things are going, we will have more Middle-earth stuff, maybe a new supplement. So I can actually maybe get my head back into Middle-earth and paint my Azog's Legion army, because it's been sat there for God knows how long now.
Be a fun project.
But I'm really looking forward to it. Again, one of those armies, I've got all the models. I've got literally everything, I think. The only thing I need to buy is bats. I've got my Trolls, got my Ogres, got all my Gundabats, got 2 of the Azogs from the dual set in order to convert. All sorts. So I need to do that. There's other things, and then I do also have. If I can find one of them. I've also got. You're probably not going to be able to see this. Camera's not very great, but that is a corpse grinder.
Oh, nice.
So the boys are my local group of lads. We're talking about just kicking off Necromunda a little bit again, and they're all the skins painted on them, which is the hardest bit. So I
Yeah.
reckon give it, you know, a week's of evenings painting. I can finish the rest of it metals and leathers and stuff, and sort some bases out for them. So hopefully, again, we said September-ish, we're going to look to start playing some games, but do some practice beforehand. So that'll be fun. And I've still got my Mordheim up there if we ever decide to do anything else as well. But they're painted, they're done. The only thing I might do is get hold of a few other bits and pieces. The Rat Ogres, the new one's going to be too big. So I still need to get that one from Island of Blood.
Right. Yeah, I've not seen them because I've been searching Stargate and stuff recently. And
they're on eBay here and there, but it's about 30 quid, which I can stomach. That's fine. I paid more for less. It's absolutely fine. I don't need it right now, so I'm not going to spend it. It'll come round. And if anything, hopefully when the market floods with some of the other bits, they might force the prices for those down because people just don't necessarily want them. It could go the other way. It's a gamble with outprint models. It's always the gamble, isn't it? You got to play the odds, and sometimes you got to pay it when you see it. Like I think I paid nearly 50 quid for Breaking the Fellowship Aragorn, but I've seen him for a lot more since, so it is what it is.
Fair enough.
So there's bits on the horizon, and I do really still like the idea of playing a Flames of War army. Still ticking away in the background. So, and there's also Bushido. So we shall see. There's too much stuff.
There is.
But I would like to play some non-GW games. I think it's probably good for the soul. We're going to be at the next Plastic Crack. We're going to be running a painting competition. I was thinking about that again, earlier today, actually, while I was in a meeting I wasn't particularly paying attention to. So we do need to get some organisation done on that.
We do. And you'll be running it more than me, probably. Because
you can play an Old World, aren't you? So, yeah, no, I've already acknowledged that.
If you do get your... if you do get your Warriors of Chaos done, bring them along anyway. You never know, there might be time for a game.
Maybe we'll see how we get on. Worst case scenario, they go in the boot. We'll see where we are for that. I'm not gonna. This is an army I'm not gonna rush. Yeah, if they're done, they're done. If they're not, they're not.
If they're done, I think there's still a place to play, but I wasn't suggesting that because that puts pressure on you to get them done. But
well, the worst case scenario than that was we arrange a trip to Warhammer World. Maybe get Jordan to join us. Maybe someone else as well.
Definitely. Oh, that'll definitely happen. Definitely happen.
Spur him on to finish his Marienburg as well. Let's see.
He's at the same event, so he's teaming up with my Dwarfs, so he's got to get 1,500 points worth of his Marienburg.
Oh, is he coming to Plastic Crack as well? Oh, nice one. I didn't know he was. That's cool.
He's playing the old world game. Is just a doubles game, narrative doubles game.
Cool. Well, I'm going to make my principal painting competition. We need to sort that out, and you and I need to talk about like cards and things. Recommends and get some trophies done and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. So right then, so I'll very quickly go through what I've been up to, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the news bits, and I think that'll be it then. But so I got my Dwarves finished.
You did?
Finished. There's a 50
that empty base looks amazing.
There's a 50 mil square hole missing. I've not got any pictures up for this because I did the video before this is Friday's full video was about.
Yeah, go give that some views. Give it some love.
It's going all right. It's going all right. People are watching it. So, but yeah, if you haven't seen it and you're interested in seeing the Dwarf Army, it's a video is mostly about what I selected and different pictures of it and things, with a little bit of chatter about availability and things. Where we'll talk about that probably when we talk about the news a little bit. But that's all done. And then I've been listening to. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've been listening or reading actually. While I was painting that stuff and doing work, I managed to get through a few. So I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter quite a lot. There seems to have got a fair bit of, news comes up in the news. There's a Catachan-based 40k novel called Death Welder by Victoria Hayward.
Yeah. She pops up very occasionally on my. I don't follow her myself, but a lot of people saying the book's pretty good. They're definitely talking about one of the characters being up there in terms of notable and favourite Imperial Guard characters, up there with Caiaphas Cain and even some of the Gaunt's characters, which
maybe
is an accolade.
we'll see how it goes. It's not part of a series as yet. It was commissioned as a first full length novel. I just felt like so in terms of 40k novels, I'm reading Deathwing at the moment for Jordan's Sorcery Book Club. That's
the original one.
Yeah. So that's
Oh,
cool.
that's some interesting reading now.
Yeah,
I've not read that in a long time.
It's reading. Yeah, so we're doing that right. Doing that.
Where did you get it from?
I think that one was. I can't remember. Jordan might have sent me that one. Most of them I've got through eBay, World of Books, that kind of thing. So there's been a couple I've struggled to get hold of. In fact, I'm sorted. One of them I've only got on a PDF, but most of them I've got apart from Crocodile Tears. So if anyone has it's one of the Dark Future novels. If anyone has,
I was going to say they must be the rarest one, surely.
I'm in desperate need for it for was it next month or the month after? As it stands, because couldn't find a PDF either. As it stands, I'm going to struggle to read that for the book club because I don't have a copy. But other than that, I've got every other one in that first 17. But anyway, that's a big digression. But yeah, I've gone through all of the Heresy series apart from the last few, but I haven't read any 40k or listened to any 40k aside from Eisenhorn stuff. So aside from Dan Abnett, I've not listened or read to any other 40k stuff in absolutely ages. We're talking 15 years, maybe even 20 years plus, aside from Heresy or Dan Abnett. I just thought I'll give it a go. I'll download the audiobook on Audible and really enjoyed it. So I thought I'd recommend it because obviously new author, first full-length novel, and I know she's got some very good reviews and big channels have reviewed her and had her on for interviews and things, but I thought I'd do the same thing and just say it's actually really entertaining. It's not.
I'll give it a go.
It's just a good entertaining novel. It's quite actiony at the start and then it kind of changes a little bit throughout. It's like watching a film, if that makes sense. It's the pacing is good. So it's like watching a good 90s films, like you think Predator, you think Arnie kind of film, but then with some good 40k themes to it. So it's a rip-roaring adventure, but done in a way that you don't think all that's happening is badly written fight scenes, because that loses me really quick. That's one of the reasons I haven't read a lot of 40k fiction, is because it can be a little bit tiresome with that kind of stuff, and you don't get that feeling. It's just well written. So that was really good. And then I've been going back to Gaunt's Ghosts. I only read a couple of those years and years and years ago, so I've been going back to those as well, partly because of that. And it has caused, as things often do, a slight project. So I've been building this afternoon, actually. It's a Rogaldorn tank.
Okay.
For people who don't know what that is, that's the new guard.
Show them the bottom.
Tank.
Show them the bottom.
Yeah, I know. It's a Fred Flintstone tank. You can just pedal with your feet. But
there were files out for that plate within hours. It was great. I think Taro does a resin plate for the bottom of it, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. I do normally paint the bottoms of my tanks, to be fair. But I'm not.
I can't remember who it is I've seen done it. They've stuck magnets on the inside, so all the spare weapons are magnetized to the inside. Then they've got a lid for the bottom, or
that's a cool idea.
So on the bottom, is it a lid?
That's a cool idea.
A sump plug, maybe.
I like that. I quite like that idea. That might be an option. Somewhere to keep all the bits. I don't know what. I mean, you see, I've stopped here at the turret. Built really quickly, but I don't play 40k, so I have no idea what loadouts to build. I will magnetize some, but
it doesn't matter. Choose the best one because they all cost the same points.
I don't know what the best one is because I don't play the game. But
just Reddit. What is best?
Yeah, probably. I might go what looks better. But anyway, I've been planning some kill team with the boys. So I haven't really discussed this with you much, Dan. I mentioned it on the stream I did the other night. So I've been planning some kill team with the boys. They've both got intercessors, six-man squads. Easy to paint. I mean, Jacob's gone Raven Guard because he looked at the black and went, I quite like black. I don't need to do much more to those. So he's dry brushed some grey and then he's picking out some bits in the weapons. But you know what? Fine. Harry's gone Ultramarines and this 5-year-old is desperate to be painting all of the gold edging and trim, and I'm trying to say you don't need to put all that on there, and he's got a picture I printed off for him, and he's like, no, I want it like this. So he's there today, been like the 4th day in a row, been trying to paint these 6 Marines. It's very cute. And the idea is to run some very simplified games of Kill Team with them on Saturday afternoons at the kitchen table. Bought the cardboard and everything, so I don't, because my gaming table is probably a little bit too high for Harry as well. He can't reach the centre, so I thought, right, I'll buy the proper board. Got the bits on. I didn't buy the whole starter set. I bought the rules and the bits on eBay. You can get them quite cheap. So I thought Kill Team, and that's what I thought. Listen to Death Wilder. I will buy a set of Cadians, and I'll run Cadians. So I like those new models. Had no reason to own them before. I'll run Cadians, and I can even run them less models than I need to, so that it's really hard for me. So I get some kind of enjoyment out of playing against Marines, if that makes sense. So that's the plan. And then listening to that and listening to Gaunt's Ghosts, I may have 1,000 points worth of Astra Minotaurum sitting around. So it's a painting project more than anything else. I don't know if I'll play them much, if at all, ever. But I've got a really cool theme, and I've got some content planned, which is another reason I'm doing it. But my themes go back to Rogue Trader and
Spiders.
Arcadian. Maybe not directly though. So Cult Paint, I've done a painting tutorial for them. I don't like the little camo bits, the white and black little camo specs.
No, I actually did paint a guard army with camo, and you know what the problem with camo? If you do it too well, it ruins your miniatures because it distorts all the lines and they look terrible on the tabletop.
That's not the reason I'm not
push it too far.
Yeah, you can do.
I spent ages
personally
them,
not
and
doing
they
that.
look terrible.
But they're all Codex Grey back then. So I've been researching. I'm in the middle of researching, but I'm going to be doing a Necromundan regiment that will probably be based around Codex Grey. But there's 4 named ones, and only one of those actually has any proper references. The rest are like throwaway lines and codices and things. So I will make up my own one, which gives me the freedom to come up with a badge, but they will be essentially based on that Rogue Trader era look. So the officers will have the gold breastplates and things like that. So I'm going to go for a Rogue Trader themed paint scheme, but with the modern miniatures and modern painting style. And I will choose my own style for the tanks, because I haven't found. There's one example is like a campaign camo. One's an Ice World white. So I got a little bit of flex there, what I do as well. But more research to do. But that's the plan for those anyway. Whether I play them or not, I don't know. I've got a feeling that my boys will like Kill Team, and that they're at Jacob's 10 this year. He's going to want to expand, and let's face it, as much as I taught him Old World, he's going to get drawn in by 40k. And if I've got 1,000 points worth of a painted guard army that I like, then at least it makes the thought of playing some 40k with them a little bit more enjoyable. I might enjoy the game as well, but it's very much a painting project army rather than a content based thing. Enjoy doing it rather than something I'm looking forward to playing games with. With an Old World, all encompassing, want to paint it, want to talk about it, want to play it. When it comes to the guard project, I'm excited about reading up a bit about Rogue Trader era stuff, reminding myself of the armies. So I had Rogue Trader era squats and Imperial Guard and second edition as well, when they started releasing them all in metal. So you had your Catachans and you had your Cadians, you had your Mordians, you had your Valhallans, all in these sets of 10. And I had that typical weird mixed army that every team did at the time, where you had an army made up of one squad of each 10, because they released them sort of one unit at a time, month after month. But anyway, so a lot of stuff as usual, reading based. Also read Skaven Slayer, which is the little extra book club with Jordan, and that's gone live today. Actually, it's gone out, so if people are interested in the book club we do, we talked Skaven Slayer, and that is now out. So once you've watched this, if you want to hear us talk about Skaven Slayer and review that in the same way, we've done that. And then there's a link to that. And I've already told people on the channel, I think I did on my hobby diary that went out to patrons only yesterday, about the plans. And I've hinted at it before. And a couple of the end of my Gotrek and Felix tutorial and the end of my Skaven painting tutorial, there's a little teaser about Warhammer Quest and Gotrek and Felix. So Jordan and I have got something planned, really, a bit of a collaboration. So I'm going to be doing lots of Skaven stuff this summer. So with AOS 4 and Skaven coming out, I'm going to buy the Skaven half. I'm going to be doing some painting tutorials. And at the end of that, I'm going to have a 2,000 point Skaven army for the Old World. But I'm also building and painting Skaven because I need them for Warhammer Quest. So I'm going to be building, much like I did with the Mordheim video and board and the Warhammer terrain table, I'm going to be building rooms for Warhammer Quest that link to the 6 stories that are in Skaven Slayer. So each one of those stories is going to become a quest that Jordan's going to write the rules for and the maps, and then I'm going to build them and paint them all. So I'll have a video doing that. He's going to have a video about how he comes up with it, and then we're going to get together and play the game as Gotrek and Felix, because you play collaboratively, you play against the game. You don't need a games master to do it. So we don't know who's going to be what yet, but we are going to play the game, and we're going to film that as well, and that's going to go on Jordan's channel. So a bit of a fun sort of side project. I love Skaven Slayer so much. I thought it'd be a really fun thing to do with Warhammer Quest. So I've got the Warhammer Quest rules and things. So again, content related and painting related. So that's what I've been planning, really. So everything's linked to what I've been reading and inspired by, which is quite good fun. And it kind of links in with the AOS release, which is going to dominate the summer in terms of Games Workshop things. We'll talk about Dwarves a bit in a moment. Before we do, final thing, this is half edited now, a little sneak preview. They are epic point shot elephants. So that tutorial is going to be out this weekend. It might even be out Thursday. I might put it out a little bit earlier. But Thursday or Friday, that tutorial will be out. It's half edited as we stand. So hopefully we'll finish that editing tomorrow evening, and I might get excited and post it on Thursday rather than Friday. So look out for that. But yeah, that's my hobby. Let's have a little look at the chat, and then we'll talk about news and releases and things and not releases. So what's Martin been saying? I know a lot of people using alternative Rohan armies using the Victrix Anglo-Saxon and Anglo-Dane sets. They look at that makes sense, doesn't it? Because they're scale wise, they're true scale 28s for Middle Earth. And was that Damien as well? Evening came across this by surprise. Great to listen while cleaning the kitchen, and hopefully when I get to do some painting later. So yeah, so Damien's just run a really good Middle Earth event called 7 Stones, which is the concept's probably quite hard to explain briefly, but there's you can win lots of awards for lots of different things depending where you come on day 1. You go into a separate kind of event on day 2, and so on and so on. Very fun, very thematic. People take it not very seriously, but also really seriously in terms of costumes and crazy display boards and funny themes and stuff. It's great fun. And he's also one of the 2 guys behind SBG Magazine, which he launched his latest edition at 7 Stones, and I've got an article in there as well. So I have to pick up my copy. Actually, I have to order a copy, and when I do, I'll do a quick review on the channel as well. But I wrote an article about Merry. It's partly why I painted Merry at Christmas time, knowing that I was going to be writing that article. This is where we'd normally go for a break, but we're live, so we don't get to do that, Dan. But in terms of releases and things, so were there any releases and things you wanted to talk about before we talk about the dwarf elephant in the room?
Well, we've got Knights of Arnor, which is cool. It's really good to see some Middle Earth stuff come around. And a captain, I also believe, as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so let me try and find it on Warcom.
Which are really lovely.
Actually, articles. Let's go to. Oh, of course, it's not even on the main page anymore, is it? Middle Earth.
Glorious, seamless television. This.
Yeah, well, of course, we have seamless television. At least people can hear us today, and we've not disappeared anywhere, which is the usual. So there is the browser, and we are on the Warcom page, and then we got pre-order Ride for Ruin. Was that the latest? No, surely not. 18th of May. We got some Arnor stuff. There we go. So new Captain of Arnor.
Really pretty.
Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice. It's nice to see enough new news, even though it's a little bit slow to stop all the negativity that has been around in the community.
No, none of that. I left all the groups. It's fantastic. I just get to everything's vicarious. It's through other people. I get told, "Oh, someone's moaning on this." I'm like, "Yep, cool."
But they are lovely, lovely sculpts. Lovely, lovely sculpts.
Yes.
And then what else is there? Are there any others? So other than that, it's just been some pre-orders. So Ride for Rohan.
Obviously, there was the previews. Obviously, they previewed Necromunda Hive Secundus with the slightly derpy looking gene stealers that I really love, and the ridiculous Spirers. They look amazing, and the paint job on those models is insane.
I'm just looking at some more Arnor stuff at the moment, because finding stuff on this website quickly is problematic sometimes. So yeah, that preview is going to be so long ago.
Yeah, we've moved on a long way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was.
I'd imagine people would have seen it, and if they haven't, they can always go and find it. Yeah, but if we can get hold of the Spirers, they're bonkers good. They're beautiful. And then there's some what appear to be a mix between Gene Seal Occult Sprue and the under the Scum and the High Scum. And then the slightly derpy looking Gene Seals, which I love. I think they're brilliant. Obviously stunted and, a horrible form of life, etc.
There we go. So Warhammer preview, Necromunda, Hive Secundus. So that's the whole new set, isn't it? And there we go.
Yeah, and there was some new models for 40k for the new codexes. Obviously, I don't care. Sorry, I just don't. Even as an ex-Sister Battle player, I'm not particularly keen on the new model. It's a Sister Battle with a jump pack on a rock.
I think it looked pretty cool, but
there's nothing wrong with it, but there's nothing right with it either.
My first reaction was surprise at seeing it, because it was not what I expected, I think. But that's on me.
And the fact they've already released them, bit of a kick in the groin, that one.
Yeah, well.
When there's stuff that we will mention later that's nearly 4 months on. There you go, there's Spirers. I think you're showing them off now. It's appeared on here. But
I have, I found them and show them off. So yeah,
but they are so pretty.
I think there's some really nice new stuff.
I love the body horror. The fact that they explained it. The fact that the nobles, it's converted alien technology, and they've literally had to append some of their limbs in order to fit in the suits.
Yeah,
and that's your route to proving yourself to join the upper echelons of hive nobility, by going down to the underhive after you've mutilated yourself to basically kill as many people as possible, or go into this Hive Secundus. I think that's so grimdark. It's so 40k, and I love it. No matter how much they try and sanitize 40k in the main game, and they have made it quite polished and a little bit less body horror-y and all that kind of stuff. Necron just rolls in and goes, "Hold my beer." It's brilliant. Yeah. I absolutely love it. So I think there was lots of Legions Imperialis stuff, which is cool.
It's the whole army box
this
now,
week's pre-order,
which is really good. Yeah, this week's, and then we also have, which I've got on the screen now. We had the heresy stuff has gone up for pre-order as well.
Yeah, Mechanicum.
So we got Shadrach Medusan, haven't we?
Oh yeah,
I love the face on that miniature. He's cool. I do like that miniature.
Yeah, and Tibot Mar and Ezekiel Abaddon. Not Ezekiel Abaddon. It's Little Horus Aximand. That's it.
Yeah,
and then Hibu Khan. They're all really, really cool models. And the Command Squad.
Yeah.
Came out as well for Mark 3, Mark 6, or just the upgrade sprue.
Yeah, it's a new upgrade sprue, isn't it? Command upgrade sprue, which is
and they do a combined box. So you get the sprue. You can buy the sprue separately, or you can buy it with either, in case you haven't got 5 spare miniatures, which I think's, that's GW using its noggin. I quite like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a departure from times past, shall we say. The fact they acknowledge you may have spare miniatures lying around, or may want it without having to buy an entire box set just to get hold of the upgrade sprue, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, it still remains the thing I do more painting of than anything else, because of commission wise. And more clients will ask me to paint heresy than anything else. I'm working on heresy now. I've got a lot more planned this year, an awful lot more planned this year. And the amount of times I've built some of those kits, it's getting easier with the plastics, not quicker anymore.
No,
it's actually slowed the build process down, which is something I need to bear in mind when I'm pricing stuff up, because now you've got the new multi-part kits, and there's just so many of them.
So
it takes
specific.
you so much longer to it takes you so much longer to build stuff when you
I think
can't
I've built
clip off all the bodies, clip off all the legs, and things like that. But
and I do that. I can't complain about
it, but it definitely makes building stuff for commissions a little bit tricky.
Because I used to do like 50 at a time. I can't do that now. I think I've done 80 Mark 6 sat around, and that took a lot longer than it did in the past. Even with the resins, it was quicker.
Yeah,
and that's with all the clear up, and I used to pin everything for the resins as well. Literally every joint, and even then it was quicker than putting new plastics together.
I hate pinning stuff unless I really have to. You mentioned the Legions in Polyada stuff. I showed that on the screen a few moments ago. It's nice to see essentially a Marine army in a box for people that didn't pick up the starter now. So if there's new people coming into Legions, I need to do mine. I'm going to do that as one video, I think. I'm going to do Alpha Legion and just
I have to admit,
do an army paint job. But
after seeing them at the weekend in person, because it's the first time I've ever really laid eyes on it in person, it does look pretty good.
It is nice. They are lovely things.
I think Warhammer World were in the first event relatively recently as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's another game though. I don't need another game.
It's a periphery thing for me, and I'll enjoy having a painted army on the table, but it's not something I'm going to be doing loads and covering an awful lot at the moment in time as well. So those, have you got any other bits that you kind of want to talk about from GW? I think the main thing that I suppose we're talking about, we know now that Age of Sigmar has a launch date.
Yes,
which is kind of linked to what I want to talk about, the dwarves and things. Should
we take a quick look at the chat before we dive into that?
Well, I
think we can get carried away on that one, I think, if we're not careful.
Well, maybe.
So Martin said, don't mention Carthaginians. He's doing 25 strips of them.
Yes.
Thoughts and prayers, mate. Thoughts and prayers. Michael said the level of hobby all round at Seven Stones this year was amazing. The pictures I saw were Matt Davies and his brother did a Avengers style all hero army. They even made the tower out of Gondor ruins, so the Avengers Tower, and they converted the various miniatures to look almost like I think they had Bayon, and they'd done the Bear Green and as the Hulk, and that was very cool. The KV Forge, if I hadn't got into Agatoria last month, I would 100% be all in on Hannibal.
So that's Jeff next door, the most generous donator of many lovely things.
Yes, now you say.
Interesting, Agatoria. I think Jordan did a bit of a video around those. Is it Spellcrow, the 10 or 15 mil fantasy that's very Warhammer looking? Some of it might.
They used to upgrade kits, Spellcrow, for stuff. That's the only reason I know
they've
them.
got their own. It might, if that's what I think it is. They are nice looking miniatures.
Damien, apparently they're going to send you a copy of SBG, which is nice.
Oh, thank you, Damien. Well, I will review it when I get it and show off my article, which Damien and Tom, or Tom, managed to make it into something that's readable. Because I'm not sure it would have been without them. Very rare.
Martin's had to go. Sorry to see you go, mate. By the time we've read that, you're long gone. And Sean said you can't wait to get to see his Grimmets on the new Hero for Arnold. Yeah, I'm sure he'll do a lovely job for that. And Sean's paintings massively come on as well, so I'm looking forward to see what he does with that.
Mm-hmm.
The Bjornings were
that Arnold stuff's tempting, actually. I always get drawn to sort of human-looking armies. And, they are nice looking.
Only if they do the infantry, because
that's the thing.
I am not doing those. Absolutely not the old models. They're blooming awful.
That will be it.
And incredibly expensive.
Well, I think if they do the infantry, I don't know if I'll be able to resist, if that makes sense. I think they'll.
I'll corral my Angmar theme Mordor and come and crush you. No problem.
Oh yeah, and Jeff, yep, retro 10mm Conan-esque game. Yeah, there's some lovely looking miniatures. So they have tempted me before.
Hyborian Age. This all hits the right notes for me. I do love a bit of Conan.
I'll send you some links later. I'm glad they're what they thought.
No, keep it to yourself.
I haven't got time. I haven't got time. Cannot look. But yeah. So I suppose this is a joint thing now. Final kind of bit of news. I'm really surprised that Dwarves haven't been released. I suppose like lots of other people. I mentioned it in my launch video a little bit. There's no shade there at anyone involved in writing. The rules are on the team.
No, they must be gutted.
Because I can't imagine that that was the plan when they were announced in March. We've gone to 12 weeks now, I think. We've gone past this week it will be. I think it's 12, maybe even the 13th week since they were announced at Adepticon.
It's almost in breach of the old GW rule, which was they would never ever discuss or show anything they weren't planning on releasing within 3 months.
That's.
Well, at one point they wouldn't even show anything. They wouldn't even speak about it.
No, I don't know whether that was just a guideline they had internally that people became aware of, or is just something that a community has spoken about and it's become a kind of mythos.
Well, there is a mystical area, and I won't go too far into it because I don't know how much of it's supposed to be spoken about. There is an area that online within Games Workshop people could access, and things wouldn't appear on there even internally. Right. Outside of 3 months.
Nice.
It has a name, and the people who know it will know it. But it seems odd that I don't think it was ever intended, and I can imagine the Old World team responsible for the creation and everything else of the game are probably rending garments of gnashing teeth at the moment, and probably getting really frustrated, I'd imagine, especially with the growing, but I honestly think justified groundswell of annoyance. That's because it does seem, and there was a lot of it said at this weekend just gone at the event, is do GW want to kill their own game? Because this is like literally 101 how to kill your own game by basically appearing to abandon it. It's not good, and if they were having problems, they should have been honest. They've not learned from Heresy. They've really not.
They don't communicate anyway, though, and that's something they've always been really bad at. So it doesn't surprise me that they've not communicated. Who knows? It could be. I was convinced, especially when their social media on Friday started teasing. Almost felt like they were teasing Dwarves with dwarf pictures with name your biggest tabletop grudge. People were messaging me all over saying they're coming this Sunday, and I put my video out on the Friday anyway. And the plan was to hold off on that video. I really wanted to hold off and do it and put that out on the Friday before pre-order day. That was my plan. I thought I'd get most traction then. I think like that a little bit with the videos. And then on Sunday they didn't come again, and I thought, well, this is weird. So yeah, I'm like you. We don't know for definite, but my guess would be, my assumption would be that it's delayed past when they originally planned, and maybe I don't know. We hear a lot about the different factions, don't we, within the business, and SDS is his own little thing, and it is essentially the Forge World side of the business under Tony Cottrell, and they if this was more of a main studio thing, we probably would never have seen the game. So it's kind of the freedom that they have, maybe, or certain freedoms that they have, and it means that we can get the cool things we see out of the SDS side of the studio, is also the worst thing as well, because it means that they are always playing second fiddle to main releases. And from a business point of view, if they're struggling, I'm going to make an assumption that they're struggling with production still, and that's why they're behind. And they're struggling across. You can still go to the website now and see how it's everything right across the board goes in and out of stock all the time. Then I can understand why they can't let a stock problem happen with AOS 4. So that's clearly been taken up bandwidth, just as 40k10 did last year.
Let's be honest, there's still Dominion boxes sitting on shelves. How much of a problem are they really going to have?
Yeah, But
no matter how much they try and
what they can't
try and
do,
stuff it into the 40k suit, AOS is not 40k, and it's never going to sell as much as 40k. And no matter how much anyone in the AOS studio might want it to, it's not.
yeah, I
I
wasn't
mean, half the
suggesting it
models that are
was going to
selling really
sell
well
as much, but in
are
terms of
probably
its,
selling to go Old World armies at the moment. Let's be
yeah,
honest. All the
yeah,
stuff that's always
I,
out of stock is all the stuff that people are painting for Old World.
probably, yeah, but I
Read the
wasn't
room.
suggesting for a
Release
moment
Dwarfs.
that it was going to sell at more than 40k. The point is that it is their second biggest game, and in terms of a release, the AOS edition release is probably second only to a 40k release, or maybe a 40k and or a Space Marine faction release for 40k. But they kind of hand in hand these days because they're always the launch faction. So I get it. I get why that would take priority. And I wonder. My fear is now that it will push Dwarves all the way to the other side of whatever window they've got. And I also don't know. This is speculating, but I can. You hear stories about those sides of the businesses not communicating as well, and the main studio naturally gets more of a better service from Warcom. You'd argue gets definitely more understanding from what the message put across by the guys at Warcom presenting, etc. But and also choices around release dates and stuff. I bet you that the main studio gets a far better deal in terms of those dates and things. It's no surprising that it's an SDS game is the one that gets bumped, if that is the case. Hopefully, I mean, it's Tuesday 11th now. I think the last day that they could possibly bring it out before AOS, now that we know that AOS is officially launching, street date is the 15th of July, so 29th is the pre-order. I think this Sunday will be the last time they can announce Dwarves. Otherwise, they are being launched within the period of, I'd argue, of Age of Sigmar. But that would mean Dwarves release day still being the same pre-order day. If we stick to the 2-week pre-order periods, which seems to be standard. So if you announce Dwarves this coming Sunday, the pre-order would be the following Saturday, which would mean their 2-week launch would be on the pre-order day of Age of Sigmar. And I'm not sure they'd do that either. But something's going to be on pre-order on something's going to have to be on launch on pre-order day of Age of Sigmar. But you'd expect it to be something quite small, wouldn't you? I don't know.
Books for Age of Sigmar, I'd say.
Yeah.
Seems to be what they did last time.
Storybooks and that kind of novels, you mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would make sense. So that says to me that the Dwarves are probably waiting till, and what kind of window they're going to do. It's going to be, if it's coming out on the 15th, it's going to be the 2 weeks after that. I reckon we're looking pre-order second half of August at the earliest, would be my guess.
Yeah, which means how far does it push everything bloody else?
Yeah.
Thinking, as much as it's upsetting for Dwarf players.
Get one more I think we'll be on 5 factions max by the end of the year. I think we'll get the Dwarves. Obviously, I think the Dwarves will be actual street date will probably be very likely to be very early September now, and then maybe if we're lucky, we'll get one more.
Yeah, I mean,
unless the payoff is to get quite truncated, who knows what it'll be. The guess is Warriors. A lot of people are guessing Warriors because you need a chaosy faction. So if you look at all of the 9 factions, my guess might be Warriors.
That said, though, you've taken beasts out of circulation, so they may bump them.
Yeah, beasts. Yeah, that's a good shout. So beasts could be the next.
So
but I got a feeling they want people to forget about them a little bit more before they bring them back.
It just is so frustrating because I so want this game to do well, and it seems they seem to be doing everything in their power to kill it.
Yeah,
indirectly or otherwise.
Yeah,
I mean, you're applying far more nuance, and you're being far more level about this. I mean, we should probably surprise no one. Obviously, my language in our little chat was pretty blue.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I've used even worse elsewhere. I think they're completely taking the Michael. They're completely, absolutely making a hash of it. And I don't really care what their reasons are if they don't communicate. If they communicate, we'll be understanding and I can have sympathy for their reasons. If they don't communicate, I don't care what their reasons are and they can stick up their bum.
Yeah.
End of.
I, I'm conscious of not being shouty. Where's my faction?
No, I don't believe in shouty,
Um,
but I
because I don't
I
like that
am
kind of stuff.
exasperated with them. Oh
But
no, no, I mean I don't
I
think it
am
helps
very
anything. But
surprised that it's not out. And I, as I said, I feel for the guys that are working on the game, and it's their project. The events are very full at the moment, but you know, let's face it, people were
how
playing
long for?
sixth ed, and people were playing ninth age. Warhammer's not really gone anywhere. So a lot of those people are just being brought over from those games again. So in terms of the more generalized player base, that's my fear. I think the event scenes will stay buoyant-ish for a while anyway. My concerns are for the people who have you just want to get in casually and are going to give up now. I don't think, I don't know, the people at the higher end of management in Games Workshop, it probably doesn't matter to them that much. They're hitting their sales targets for the years anyway. They do every year. If AOS is successful, that's the most important thing. And that's the problem with the nature of the business. That's why I said, that's why I mentioned that the one of the best things about SDS is how there is this little business within a business in some ways, and they got a little bit of freedom. And if they were all brought under the kind of the management arm a bit closer of the main kind of the way the main studios run, we might not have some of the games we have. We definitely wouldn't have the breadth and depth of the games. Think how many different weird models
Necromunda wouldn't
and
be Necromunda anymore.
exactly. That was just that example I was just about to say. That just wouldn't happen. So it's kind
And
of,
I think
we
Blood Bowl
want,
will get short shift
you,
as well. You wouldn't be
yeah,
getting
of course it
geese.
would. They might even go. I mean, last time SDS got too big, they got rid of it all, didn't they? They canned it all
Yeah,
because
it's
it was too hard to manage because there were too many games. And
the Scarlet
so
Pimpernel's just put in there. They could make it up by releasing another faction with the Dwarfs, so going dual faction again. So much like Tomb Kings. I mean, that is a very valid
I do
point.
hope that
In
they're
which
in a position they can
case,
do that. Yeah,
that would, because they do try and theme it, because then you can release books and stuff. So would that mean it'd be dwarves and elves, high elves?
could be
Maybe
cool.
completely upset the thing. Who knows? I mean, that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think they need.
But they do need to pull their finger out, because otherwise they are going to stifle the game. There's already, people who were already at an event who were, and I don't want to say that people just stood around moaning. Of course they weren't, but there was a general feeling of, where's the support? And I
Yeah,
get that. It's lack of comms, and it's the same. I think the reason I get so frustrated about it is we saw it with Heresy, and we've
yeah,
seen it to a point with Middle Earth as well. If they just talked
yeah,
about it, just said, look, we're having problems. We are delayed. We're really sorry. It may well be that a couple of the factions may be released, unfortunately, till a bit later in the year. We will sort you out.
yeah.
Please do bear with us. That kind of thing. I mean, how
Every other
hard is
games
that to
company
do?
on the planet would be discussing it and saying what's going on. But Games Workshop just don't do that,
No,
and never really done that. And it's a real shame. Who knows? We will see. But I think it's going to force people to alternative miniatures as well. So you have this. We're very lucky that we've got the game that we have with all the rules out. If we were still waiting on rules, it might be even worse. I keep thinking, I wonder whether it would have been better if the first 6 months would have been every faction got like the battalion boxes.
Yeah.
So it's very limited, and the Orc and Goblin one would have to have a slightly different makeup, but those kind of core plastics, a battalion box, and all 9 were launched in the first 6 months, but no arcane journals and not the extra stuff, and then you wait for your top-up release, and probably the same amount of time. It's probably still going to take them 2 years, and people would still moan, where am I going to, well, I'm waiting on X for my army list, blah blah blah. But at least it would have given every someone that wanted to play Old World could come along, pick up those Forces of Fantasy or Ravening Hordes book and go, what can I get? Well, so far all you can get is this core army box here, which has got a lot of stuff missing, but at least you can start building your army. But that's a hindsight thing now. Now that it's been so delayed, I figured we'd be a couple more factions along the way, but I never thought it was going to be close. I've said, I've made so many videos on this, and a a lot of the guesses and things have been relatively right, because you can look at, which again, the SDS side of the business, you follow their games, you've got a really good idea of the kind of pace of release and the way things work. So
Well,
not a huge surprise. I just think
after the way it came out the traps,
yeah,
it just seems like Dwarves should have been in the rear view. We should have had
Yeah.
those a month ago minimum, and we should be moving towards the next faction.
Yeah.
We should have they should have dropped just before the new edition of Age of Sigmar,
That's
and then
what I would
we
have
take a month,
hoped by
and
now.
then so we'd be on faction 6 come September, which means 7 possibly by Christmas, and then you've got the last 2 would
I don't
come.
know if I ever expected all 9 in a year. I definitely think
No,
I definitely thought Dwarves
7
would
out
be
of 9
out.
maybe.
I was thinking 8-week gaps. So we had 8 weeks from launch day to Orcs and Goblins. Obviously, launched over 2 factions, and then I thought it would be another 8 weeks for the Dwarves. And then, like you said, they would have announced whatever it is next on the launch day of that. So then we'd be looking at another 8 or 9 weeks. So that might still not have worked. We might, whatever the 4th faction, so the 5th faction is going to be, might have still suffered with AOS. If AOS was a 30th of July release date, I think you could have squeezed one in. But where it is, right, that's why I messaged you and Jordan pretty much the same things as soon as that came out, to say, well, that was the worst possible pre-order and release date for AOS in terms of what the impact it would have on Dwarves potentially. I'm hoping, like I said in my video, that again, this will be all out of date by the end of this week, because they do squeeze them in just in time.
Please prove us wrong.
Even maybe all the models are ready and they just go, right, it's just a 1 week they do a 1 week pre-order for a change instead of a 2 week one. If all the stock, if they're being held back just because of window, just because of time, and the stock is ready to go, they could feasibly do that and that wouldn't trip over. But I suppose I'm being hopeful now. And I've got my army aside from my king, but I really love the book. Be really interesting to know whether there's influencers out there with stuff who are now sitting on
It'll be massively under embargo by now.
Yeah, it's still under embargo, but I wonder whether they had to send out new embargo dates, updated dates, saying things are now pushed back. It'd be interesting to know.
Which I'll be annoyed about as an influencer, because that's my money. That's my living.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. It's been tricky trying to.
Well, on the other hand, it means Rich Gray might actually finish one.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, that's go around in circles on that. I'm hopeful that it's not a case of that stuff isn't actually on the street until September, because then that becomes an absolutely humongous gap from the 23rd of whatever it was, 21st, sometime in March, 20 something of March.
It'll knock the stuffing out confidence of people to pick the game up. It'll absolutely batter it.
The only way they can get it back is it's the 21st was the announcement, I believe, of March. 21st of March. So if it becomes September, that becomes, if they can squeeze it in now, they just about get away with it. They can squeeze it in before AOS. I think they might just get away with it, but I don't know. I think, like I said, I think this Sunday is the last possible chance, and even then, that's a little bit of a tight squeeze. But anyway, I think that's probably it. One final thing I wanted to mention. Actually,
let's not end on misery. Come on. Let's
no.
I'm
going to end on something positive. I think positive. Privateer Press. Is it no more? Obviously, it's sold.
Yeah. Steamforged, wasn't it?
And Warmachines to Steamforged, which is mad. So I had when I finished playing 8th edition before End Times, I was drawn away by 2nd edition Mark II, so Mark II Warmachine and Hordes. Really loved it, really got into the game. I really liked Privateer Press at that time. It felt a little bit more like Early Games Workshop. They had their own magazine called No Quarter. By the end of that, the editor of No Quarter was Lyle Lowry. He's actually the current White Dwarf editor, funnily enough. Really enjoyed the game. The role-play game was good. The world was good. Very competitive game. It was that, when I use it as an example earlier on, that it's the actual game itself doesn't feel like a war game. It feels like a game. But in terms of the setting, was very deep and rich. There's loads of the novels as well, a whole series of novels. I've got a few of them. But their sales dropped off through 3rd edition, and I've got the impression they've really struggled with 4th edition. I've never played either of those editions, but clearly not as popular. I think the resurgence of Games Workshop and the popularity of Age of Sigmar has, got an awful lot to do with that as well, because they created their own esports style war games, or tabletop games, which is where Privateer Press had that market. They had the tight rule sets, the markers. We discussed this in the previous show. So, Steamforged. So Matt Hart, Rich Loxham. So they won't remember me, but I've met Matt. So I went to a convention for Privateer Press games, for Warmachine games, called SmogCon. I went to years 2 and 3, and by year 3 they moved away from Cardiff, and then we were actually in the guild. Where were they? A couple of hotels in Guildford. Quite sort of a stay over at the hotel style convention, US style convention in the UK, which you don't get very often. And by that time it expanded to Malifaux as well, and that was where they demoed Guild Ball and launched the Kickstarter, I think, around that time. And that's where Steamforged games emerged from. So Warmachine players that developed a football style game that's very much like Warmachine style. And Rich Loxman was a very high ranked player, and then Matt Hart played a lot as well. So it's mad that they now have bought the license for it. And then other connections. So one of the guys I used to play Warmachine with a lot, Russ Charles, who at that time just gave up teaching and started a company called Clockwork Goblin with his friend Chris, and they came out with Conflict 47, which started as a 15 mil game, and obviously now is a Warlord Games thing. Russ became a full-time sculptor, did lots of freelance stuff, is actually sculpted quite a lot of the stuff that you find in modern war machines, lots of the Warcasters and things. I think, and I chatted to him the other day, the press release for the announcement, a couple of the pictures used were Warcasters that he sculpted. And I believe he was lead sculptor, but I think he might even be creative director or something at Steamforged now. So mad that those people who kind of, their business grew out of love for Warmachine, I think, and Wargaming, but mostly from Privateer Press products. Russ that kind of, ended up sculpting for them, but it was Warmachine that really kind of got him back into doing that kind of thing. And now the guys at the helm of the game moving forward. So I'm going to be really interested in keeping an eye out on what they do. And I know with Guild Ball they do a lot of print on demand style now. So you buy a Guild Ball team and they 3D print it and send it to you printed. I know Privateer Press were dabbling with that a little bit. So it would be interesting to see what they do with the scope of the game, whether they just bring everything on board and carry on, or whether they go, right, we're going to cull lots, strip the game down a little bit and then rebuild up, remove some of the bloats. Some of the miniatures were very old. It seems ironic to say that now with some of the miniatures I'm playing with for Old World, but some of the miniatures are very old. A lot of their ranges were the original Cyocast style. That's that resin when it started being used. It's called Restic back then. That was the name given to people, like a mixture of plastic and resin. I don't know if it was made in the same way as Cyocast, but it was awful. You couldn't clean it up. So some Warmachine miniatures were amazing. There were some really old metal miniatures that were hard to put together, and some of the newer stuff wasn't great either. I don't know what their plans will be, or whether Steamforged is big enough to do that kind of injection molding kind of thing, because that would be multi-part injection molded miniatures would be amazing, or even something that's semi-assemblable, a little bit like the Star Wars Legion things would be cool. But who knows what their scope is in terms of budget and what they can afford to do. But I know that the guys loved Warmachine, and that was what they cut their teeth on. So there'll be real passion there. It'd be like us buying Old World and being in charge of it, sort of thing. So I trust the guys that are doing it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do and how quickly we see stuff and hear from them what they're going to do. But it might, if they come out with a 5th edition and they launch a starter set, I might be tempted to pick it up and dabble in it a little bit, because it was a really good fun game, and knowing the guys behind it would be interesting to follow. But I just wanted to add that as some really cool,
I'm interested to see what they do with P3, because some of the P3 colours were brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it's P3 was you can get a lot of those colours down because if you look at the coat to arms range,
Yeah.
it's the old. So I don't know all the details around this, but Matt Wilson, who formed Privative Press, worked at Wizards of the Coast, I think. Worked on Magic, I believe. Mike McVeigh, you know, when he left Games Workshop and went and worked for Wizards of the Coast as well. I think he worked on Magic, and then Matt Wilson started Privative Press. This is a Jordan Sorcery video he's not made yet that I want him to. And Mike McVeigh at some point was around for the early days of Warmachine and Privative Press. Involved with maybe some of the miniatures design and stuff. I don't know exactly what I did. I know Mike McVeigh was around at the early days around Mark 1 Warmachine. So he was part of that, and I don't know whether that's got anything to do with why P3 was so much like the Coat d'Arms range, but it used to, for a while, it completely matched or nearly identically matched the Coat d'Arms range, which was the old original Games Workshop colour range. So if you do like those paints, you can get a lot of them. Some of them are absolutely awful still and cover just as badly as the old Games Workshop range.
No, the blues were good.
Yeah. There's some lovely colours there. But yeah, the blues I used to use loads, especially on my Signar army. So, yeah, be really cool. I don't know if they'll do that. Who knows? But it'd be really interesting to see what the scope is and whether they just try and carry on as it is, or whether they kind of go, right, well, we've bought it, but now we need to do this to it. Hopefully people understand if they do have to cut it a little bit. But I'm not a current player. Be really interested in the comments. I know people, I don't know if anyone's commented or playing at the moment, but be really interested in the comments of people watching this on replay. Those of you who are currently playing Warmachine, looking at you, Rich, what are your thoughts?
He has commented, think they will release a two-player start set in plastic first.
In Rich.
Too many riches.
I think, is it? Yeah. So,
but it's still relevant.
Yeah, he's absolutely sorry. No, that sounded rude. It's absolutely still relevant, but I just looked down and saw that. Kids soon. It always drops in right towards the end of the stream. But
what have you missed? Everything.
Everything. Well, I think he was the last commenter on my stream I did the other day, just as I pressed end stream. So he's not missed absolutely everything, just most of it.
Just most.
But he's on a different time scale to the rest of us being over in the US. So I think that was it. I know that's quite a long extra ramble to add, but I thought it was really interesting bit of news, and one with not a personal connection as such, but a close connection with some of the people that are now taking over. So I still find that really weird and really cool. I was trying to explain it to my wife the other day. So, you know Russ? Yes, I know Russ. Do you remember the game we used to play? Yeah, and he's kind of working for the company who've just bought it. She didn't get the gravity of it, but it's cool stuff. Anyway, have you got anything you want to add before we let these?
No, other than the usual. Thanks for bearing with us, especially because this was somewhat self-indulgent, just talking about what we've been up to. But thank you very much. We do have a guest planned for soon. It won't be a live one. We will drop more details. It's quite an interesting one in today's times. So
yeah, hopefully it'll be the next show. Actually, we'll try and make it the next one. Which will be probably into next month now, looking at my schedule anyway, definitely running out of time. But the next one probably won't be live. But we're a special guest. She'll be very interesting. Right then. So with that said, thank you very much, everyone that's joined us today, commented in the chat, etc. If you're watching on a replay, thank you very much for watching it as well. All the usual stuff, like, share, subscribe, and all that stuff. But thank you very much for watching. Take